Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my hardcore world, where I've survived over 2,000 days now. That's right, 2,000 days, or 11 real-life months, or 492 hours of gameplay. Over the last nearly 1 year, I've built a world that I am truly proud of, and I would like to take you guys on a tour of it today. I would make a supercut, but the reality is I streamed most of these 2,000 days. So if you want to make sure you're keeping up with everything, make sure you're following me on Twitch as well. Anyways, let's get into the tour. I was struggling to figure out where I should start this tour, but then it occurred to me, why not the obvious answer at the beginning? So, welcome to my starter base, and yes, you heard me correctly, my starter base. I decided early on that I wanted my base to have a magical theme, so I came up with this idea here. Floating islands and purple everything to simulate arcane magic. And I wanted to have a cool concept behind the base too, so rather than just making like a house or whatever you do with a normal starter build, I decided to make a bunch of floating islands with different purposes. For example, this one's my brewing island. And the way that you get between the islands are these little magical pads that you jump between, so it's a little bit of parkour as well. Coming up to my second island, we have our smelting area, which I still use to this day. Yep, we're 2,000 days in and I don't have a better way of smelting things than a couple random furnaces scattered on an island. And up here we have our enchanting area, which once again I still use to this day. Coming up to the smelting island here, if you turn left instead of right, you go up to my storage room, which is on the top side of this gazebo here. And I use this probably up until about day 500 or 600, I think. More storage on the other side, but no real good way to get to it. And then on the center island here with our magical crystal, we have our arcane font, which is where I have my bed, which once again is still my bedroom to this day. And then around the area I have these cool little crops that I just kind of threw in because I wanted some color to the land, and believe it or not, I actually don't have any better crops than this, so we do actually have to address that at some point. And then of course our purple tree, which is the only one of its kind, and it's probably going to get replaced at some point here, but we'll talk about why later. But yeah, all of this here was actually built within the first 100 days because the way I started this world was with a 100 days video, which is linked in the top right at the moment if you want to watch it. Moving on from there, we come on to our main build here, the obelisk. This was the thing that I built right after I built my starter base here, and I believe this was actually episode 2 if I'm not mistaken. Yep, it's episode 2, top right hand corner if you want to watch it. So anyways, like I said, this is the obelisk here. This is my main build in this world and where my main storage room is. So that's actually in the top of the building right here. A little bit of an impractical storage room where you have to use 3 rockets to get up to it, but I mean, I haven't died yet, so knock on wood. Where's I think my desk is wood. Yeah, we're gonna say it was. But yeah, we come up to my storage room here. Ignore the mess. I counted it on stream the other day. I have a little bit of a problem. There's over 120 shulker boxes on the ground in this storage room. But despite this area, the rest of it is actually quite organized. We have a bunch of weird stuff on the ground here that I have to clean up, but these are just different palettes that I've worked with over the time of building up this world. But yeah, we did this interior here when 1.20 came out and in episode 3. Once again, link in the top right hand corner. And we have a few touchstones to the past over here. So all of this is my original armor and all of my original tools, because when 1.20 came out and they changed how you make netherite, I got rid of all of my netherite, downgraded to diamond, and got an entirely new set so I could get the trims and everything the way that Minecraft had intended for them to be gotten in 1.20. And then I have my little legacy corner over here. Now, I only have 4 episodes on this world, and episode 4 is kind of where I stopped really doing a whole lot in terms of videos. I did farms in that. So from here, I'm just kind of improvise and show you guys the rest of the world because there's no real structure to it. So all of these pillars out front here was actually done on the road to day 2000. So they were all done between, I think, day 1900 and day 2000. And we just finished this in the nick of time. I think we finished the last pillar over there or something like that on day 1990. Yep. just under the wire, but I'm really happy with how this area turned out, especially when you're flying in this way at night. I'll show you some shader screenshots now. It is really cool. But yeah, we do have a lot of future plans for this area, so stick around to the end of the video if you want to know what those are. Anyways, landing up here on the middle level of the obelisk, we have our little river going around the base of the building here, and we have a whole bunch of fish in here. Here's a bunch here. I think there's probably about 40 or 50 fish in this pond at this point, but these were all named by viewers. I have a redemption on my Twitch channel that allows you to rename a fish and put in this river here. So all of these fish are named by different viewers that I've had over the last year. There's a lot of Draves, don't question it. So if you want to fish with your name or a name that you've made up in this pond, then make sure to tune into the streams. I think they're 2,000 points to rename or 3,000 points. Don't quote me on that. I don't honestly remember. And then the other main feature of this area is right below the obelisk. So this right here is the Arcane Rift. This is the project that we worked on during our subathon in July? Yeah, I think it was July. But the story behind this, it's a very loose bit of lore for the world. Essentially, an ancient race of people built this obelisk on a source of arcane energy, and as they tapped into the energy more and more, this rift opened up beneath the obelisk, and the magic started pouring out into the world. That's why we've got these little purple tendrils coming up. Oh, I didn't land that. There we go. These little purple tendrils coming up from the rift and seeping into the world, and as we build up this area, we will continue to roll with that theme. But believe it or not, this is a fully custom ravine. I dug this all out on stream during the subathon, which took about 5 days. This wasn't the only thing we worked on, but yeah, this took up a large majority of it. Still have to do a little bit of terraforming on the top there so that it looks a little more natural. But all in all, really happy with how this turned out, and I'll show you guys what it looks like with shaders later on here too. Those are really the main features of this area as it stands right now. There are a few other things that I want to show you guys that I have around the area that you don't really see too much. So below this gazebo here, I have my villager trading hall, which is going to be moving soon to a new permanent location. But it's just a whole bunch of levels of Off in the distance there behind the floating islands, we also have our mob farm, which I'm not going to bother showing more than this because you've seen this design probably 1,000 times. And then the one that you really don't see often is in this cave right here beside the other gazebo. We have a little bit of farming area over here. So I've got a moss farm down here. I've got a bamboo farm, which is currently broken. I have a cactus farm. I have a sugarcane farm. And then in the very back over here, it takes a minute to get there, I have a wool farm. And those are only some of the farms in this world. I'll show you the rest now. So moving away from the obelisk area, we gotta head into the nether to spawn. Cool, so here we are. Well, I came out of the portal the wrong way. I was expecting to be facing this way. Here we are at spawn. There's not a whole lot to look at over here yet, but I want to show you the project as it's coming along right now. So we do have an iron farm over here, which I can't remember who made this design. It's not mine. I'll flash it on the screen when I find the name of the person who made this. And then heading past the weird lighting glitch that I have here for some reason, we have a big hole in the ground, which is where our shulker farm is. So I decided that I wanted to have a big underground complex at spawn with a bunch of these viewing areas here above ground. So I'll actually be moving the iron farm underground at some point here. So this right here is our big staircase going down to that area, and this right here is actually the spawn chunk of the world. So when I come back from the end, if I don't have my spawn location set, I'll pop up in this chunk, and when I eventually put this world out for download, when I eventually die, not a happy thing to think about, you guys will spawn right here. It's a big spiral staircase. Please hold. Here we go. So we hit the bottom here, and I haven't done a whole lot of work down here yet. I've played around a little bit with designs based around the color palette that I used at the obelisk. But we have what is going to be a big storage area over here, and then we're going to have sprawling tunnels with different farms and everything. So I'm thinking off in this direction here, rather than having another storage room, we're going to have the iron farm. And then everything is going to filter to this central location here where I can gather all of my goodies. And then, of course, going straight, we have the bottom of the shulker farm here where I can toggle it on and off and everything. We got to do a little bit of decoration. It's a little ugly down here, but that's a job for another day. Anyways, we got to head back into the nether now so that I can show you another project we've been working on. So after my subathon, I started what's probably the biggest project in my world, and that is the big dig in the nether. Alright, F5 wasn't really working. Here's a better view. But yeah, this is a 200 by 200 perimeter that I dug out by hand with you guys, mostly on stream. And yeah, this is going to be the home of our nether hub eventually. I still have a lot more clearing out to do because we are going to bring this all the way down to bedrock. We're going to clear out all the lava, all of the blocks between here and bedrock. And we're going to knock out the fortress eventually too, because right in the center there is a crossroad where we're going to build a big wither skeleton farm. And then heading off to the right from there, we have a dual blaze spawner, so we can get a whole bunch of blaze rods from this area too. I have a really cool idea for this area. I'm not going to spoil it yet, but I don't think we're going to get to it within the next 1,000 days. Anyways, let's head back up to the top side of the nether here. So I have broken onto the nether roof, which is where I have a lot of my farms that are over here. So I have a little piglin trading area right beside my portal to the obelisk. And then off in the distance there, within view sight of the portal, I have a big nether wart farm. Following the torch trail this way, we have another farm, which once again, I'm sure you guys have seen 1,000 times before, our gold farm. And then heading back towards the obelisk, branching off to the left, we have a froglight farm somewhere. There it is. It's only one color right now. I think it's pearlescent. Yep, pearlescent. But we'll add more frogs to it as we go. Alright, we're back at the obelisk again because I have 2 more projects to show you, and this is the easiest point to travel to them from. We'll start with the easy one. Just behind the obelisk here, we have our guardian farm, which we cleared out shortly after making the obelisk, I believe. This here's nothing special. It's an Iskall 85 design that he made during Hermitcraft season 6, I think. But yeah, it's slightly modified to have a 1-block center, and they just dropped their demise down there, and I have yet to do anything else with this area. But I do have big plans for it. Anyways, we need to head to our last destination of relevant things to show you, and that is off in this direction here from the obelisk. We're heading to our world's stronghold, and it's really not too far away. It takes me like less than a quarter of a stack of rockets to get here. And of course, turning to night. Do I have a bed in this vast shulker monster that I've left over here? Aha! I do have a bed over here. Alright, so this is the last point of interest in my world at this point. So this is the start of where I'm building my necrotic fortress. So this is an area where we're going to step away from the building palette of the obelisk and use more of the darker tones. Blackstone, deep slate, all of that kind of stuff. And we're going to incorporate a bunch of greens and purples in here to make it feel like a necromancer lives in this area. It's going to be a big fortress. I have a really cool plan for it. And this is going to become my villager trading hall because it kind of seems fitting for where we, zombify and cure villagers. And it's not like we won't have the space here once we finish our buildings. But as I said, this is the stronghold of the world too. If you go to this building right here and you see that pillar that I have directly in the center, right below this pillar is the end portal. So this will be our gateway to the other side, which I have done absolutely nothing with, but I do have a plan for an end build in the future here. Hey, look at that, another shulker monster. Goes very nicely with the one that I have over here. And then I have all of these weird structures around, and you can hear zombie groans in them. That is because I trapped a whole bunch of these guys during the Halloween event this year. So I'm keeping those for when I eventually get the fortress complete. So that is my world up until day 2000 thus far. I do have some exciting plans coming up here for days 2000 to 3000, which I want to go over with you in a little bit of detail right now, just to set some goals. So this 1,000-day period is mostly going to focus on the obelisk area. So as I mentioned, I built up this area with all the pillars and the walkway just before day 2000. I want to continue off of this going into day 2000 to 3000 by building a big monolith at the very end of this walkway, and this will house my nether portal. Then, taking an overview of the entire area, I want to expand the landmass out in the direction of the floating islands where my starter base is, to give a little bit more landmass. I want to build a building to house all of the maps that we're going to do for this world. I'm going to be taking snapshots essentially every 1,000 days and then updating the maps in that area for that 1,000-day period. So we'll make a level for days 1,000 to 2,000. We'll make a level for days 2,000 to 3,000, 3,000 to 4,000, and so on and so forth. And then the entire reason that I'm wanting to expand the landmass is I want to remake the jungle in this area. So if you were with me from day one in this world, you'll know that I tore down a massive jungle in this biome to make the obelisk. I want to build that back up as a custom jungle biome, but I want to expand it into the savanna. So as you can see in this area over here, I've already started putting down some moss and everything. So I'm going to be spreading moss around the entire area to make a seamless blend between the biomes because, well, let's face it, the savanna is pretty ugly. So we need to get rid of that harsh grass transition between the jungle and the river and the savanna. We'll also be using azalea leaves to avoid the same issue with the trees when I start making them. But I want to make this entire area an overgrown jungle area. So it's going to mesh really well with the pillars that we've made. It's going to look really cool with the obelisk color scheme, and I think it's going to turn out amazing. I do also plan on building more of these floating islands that you see off to the right of the obelisk here, all around the building. And then, of course, I do want to make progress on other projects, the Necrotic Fortress, the Nether Hub, all of that kind of stuff, and probably some new things dotted here and there. But those will just kind of be sprinkled in with the larger goal of this area. Anyways, I do hope that you guys are excited for the future of this world. I know that I am, and if you're not following me on Twitch already, make sure you do at twitch.tv/Kingelffe. That way you can make sure to catch up on all the progress that we're going to be making in this world, as it will be a primarily streamed series going forward, with videos every 1,000 days. Anyways, thank you for watching again. If you're not subscribed already, make sure to do so and slap that like button while you're at it, and I will see you guys in 1,000 days. Bye-bye.